Hey, my name's James Nicholson. Welcome to this channel. What is it all about? Well, in this channel, I'm going to teach you and show you and take you on a journey where I'm investing my own money in property deals. But more importantly, it's all about holding me accountable while I invest and build a portfolio for my two daughters, Emily, who's 1 year old at the time of recording this, and Georgia, who is 21. Now, we've just bought a property at auction, and if you check out the other videos on this channel, you can see all about the progress on that, how it worked, how much did we pay, and the easiest thing to keep up to date on all of the property knowledge that I'm going to share is very quickly take that finger out, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. Now, in this video today, I wanted to talk about how much can you actually borrow for an investment property, right? Tons of you on here, you want to get your first buy-to-let or some sort of property investment, and you're just unsure how much you can borrow. Well, here's a great little site that I use on a regular basis that just helps me really understand how much I can borrow. So I'm going to talk about how much you can borrow and how you can also release equity using this strategy as well. So make sure you watch fully to the end. Now, on an investment property, it's very, very different to a normal property that you live in. So the difference is they're not so concerned about your income. They do need you to have a minimum income, which is £25,000, right? And so if you don't have that income of £25,000, maybe you could partner with someone, a friend or family member, to get yourself over there. Or maybe it's time to start looking at some side hustles to increase your income to get yourself to that level, right? So first and foremost, income is important, but once you've got 25 grand in income, they're not so fussed going forward after that. What they're really concerned about is, does the deal stack up? So whatever property you're looking to purchase, does it stack up? Do the numbers work? And so I'm going to give you some examples of a property deal that I've just purchased, which you can see on the channel. So I've just purchased at auction in Doncaster, and I purchased for 60,000, but the value of that property is actually 100,000 because we're doing a renovation, right? And so the value of that property is £100,000. Now, what they're really concerned about is how much rent am I likely to get from that, right? Because the rent is going to be used to pay down the mortgage. So the mortgage would lend me on, they say, up to £96,000 here. They wouldn't actually lend you that much. They will lend you, in this instance, a maximum of 75% of the value of the property, right? So what we're showing you here is that this property easily, with £100,000 property and a £500 rent, will easily get you the £75,000. Now, let's see if you did this in Surrey, right? So in Surrey, you might be able to have a property easily, a flat could be worth 300 grand and rent is around 1,000. So this will show you that in Surrey, this doesn't really add up so well, does it? So if you've got a £300,000 flat in Surrey and the rent was £1,000, they'd only lend you 192,000. Now, what does that mean? That means that you have to now put in a deposit of £108,000 because you got to make up the difference between the 300 and this, and that's where your deposit is. And that's when you're investing down south, it often doesn't stack up on a buy-to-let. So what it means is, because the house prices are high, the rents comparatively, don't kill me in the comments, I know rent's expensive, but comparatively to the value of the house, there's a big gap there. And so that means that you're going to need to put a bigger deposit in. Whereas if you were to buy up north, you can easily buy a place for 80,000. We got one recently for 80,000, and the rent on that was 550. Now look, it says they could lend you up to 105. They're not going to lend you more than the property's worth, but they would lend you £60,000 on that because they would lend you 75% of that 80. So you'd know that, right, okay, I can get the full amount. And so this calculator is quite useful, so you could know, right, if I invest in this area, this is the rental I would expect, this is the value, and as long as I would get like well, if that property, let's see, like 120, so yeah, if the house, I could spend up to like 120 or 130 probably, and still get the 75% loan to value, which is pretty good. So if I bought this property, if I bought a property up north for 100 grand, 130 grand, sorry, and I got 550 rent, I would have to put in a mortgage, a deposit of around £25,000, which is fine, right? And so this allows you to do that. Now, also, when you're releasing equity, so this is what I'm currently going through at the moment. And so one of my properties in Dorking in Surrey is worth £250,000, right? Now the rent on that is £950 at the moment, and the mortgage is pretty much paid off, right? I stupidly have paid the mortgage down. Now I'm releasing that money back out, and I'm going to put it on a buy-to-let mortgage, right? So that means that the lender, any lender, will lend me around £182,000, which is what I'm going to release, and that £182,000 I will then use to buy further properties, to buy more buy, refurbish, refinance, rent deals out there in the market, right? And so that's a really, really, really smart thing to do. I've recently done this in a property in Hastings. Let's see how this worked, right? We had a house valued in Hastings for 280. We get 850 in rent. Now I want to give you an example on this one, right? So the house is a 3-bedroom house in Hastings. It's right in the smack bang in the centre of town. We bought it for 100 grand a while ago. It's now been totally refurbished. This is not like an overnight refurbish, guys. This has happened over a few years. We've got it up to a high standard now. Revalued it at £280,000. So we've got a mortgage on there of around 75. They were saying that, and we still owe that mortgage because it's interest only, they'll lend me £163,000. So I've still got that mortgage of 75. So let's see, 163, 200. Take away the £75,000 mortgage that I've got. So that means I can release £88,000 in equity. I did that, right? That's exactly what I did to buy this property in Doncaster, right? That worked really, really well for me. And so as time goes on, your property will increase in value. And so let's just say the £250 place down south in Dorking, right? Let's just say roughly that property has more than doubled every 10 years. In fact, in 20 years, it's gone up 5 times the value, right? But let's just say it's going to double in 10 years from now, which I think is very likely. Even if we have a crash at some point, it will still double on average over that 10-year period. So let's just say it's going to be worth 500 grand. I'll have a mortgage of 182 on it, right? But in the future, let's just say the rent doubles. So I had 180 grand mortgage. So in the future, I'll be able to release, in 10 years, I'll be able to release another 200 grand and then go and buy some more deals, right? This is really, really important. And this is how people leverage their portfolios. And so they do it with a number of ways. One is time. Time is really, really powerful in property. Over time, your property will go up in value. And when it does, all that matters is the numbers, how much rent you get, what's the value of the property. They will lend you 75%. So for every 100 grand your house is worth, they will lend you £75,000. If it goes up to £200,000, they'll lend you 150, right? And if you owe them 100 grand, they'll lend you 150. You'll get the difference, right? So the 100 grand, 150 will come to you. You'll pay down the 100 with the old mortgage. You'll keep the 50 grand, and that is what you're going to use as your deposit for your next deal. Now, also how you can do this is increase the value, right? So I purchased my property in Doncaster for £60,000, right? They would easily lend me, because the rent will be 500. They'll easily lend me like 75% of that on a buy-to-let, which is 45 grand, right? But I'm improving that property. So if you go and check out the videos on this channel, you can see the property's not in great condition. So we're looking to refurbish that property for less than 15 grand. We will do that, I think, quite confidently. And then that property, we will have spent 75 grand to get into the deal, right? Then if we get valued at 100 grand, hopefully this makes sense. If we get that property valued at 100 grand, which the house 4 doors down just sold for, so it's very likely, if we get it valued at 100 grand, then we can release, they will lend us £75,000. We can take that £75,000, that will have paid us, and we'll have got our money back. So we'll have got our house for free, so we can go again. And we can do the next deal, and the next deal, and the next deal, and the next deal. And that's what we're looking to do here, guys. I hope this makes sense. But I just thought I'd use this calculator. It's Habito. They're a mortgage lender. It's quite useful. There's tons of mortgage calculators out there. Put in buy-to-let calculator in Google. You'll find hundreds of them, guys. But really, really, this is powerful stuff. When you understand by time your property is going to go up in value, so you can release more equity. When you're starting out, you're looking at borrowing 75% of the value of the house. You can push that value up after you've purchased it very quickly by refurbishing it, adding new bedrooms, extensions, or whatever. Then you can get it revalued again, and you can borrow more money, right? And get your money back that you've spent on that, and hopefully you've then put no money into the deal. And that's how you recycle your money and go again and again and again and again. Now, this channel is going to keep educating you and helping you and teaching you this stuff. I hope you're finding it useful. Do comment below any questions you got. Do smash the like button on the video, guys. It really helps me with YouTube, pushing this out to more people. And subscribe. Remember, I'm going to show you the journey of buying houses for Georgia and Amelie and my own portfolio. Of course, I want to expand that too. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We're doing one auction refurb at the moment. Hopefully, once that recycles, we'll do 2 at a time, and we'll go and get again and again and again while we're building our power team. And I'll show you how that all works, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. So do join us on this journey. Check out the other videos on the channel. I'm going to put a video up right over here or here. I don't know where. At the end of this video, it's going to show you the auction process. It's going to show you how I bought from auction, and I want you to go and check that out and see how that works. So click on that video now, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.